What's up, and welcome to One Take. I'm Gil, and I just finished watching El Camino, a Breaking Bad film. Obviously, haven't had a chance to digest the whole movie yet or think through everything. So these will be raw, unfiltered thoughts. I've also been up all night, and it's about 5 a.m., so forgive any errors here. And this is originally being streamed live, so I'll be interacting with some of the folks here in the chat room. But and of course, I have to say, major, major, major spoilers coming throughout this whole thing. So I see a lot of people in the chat room before we restarted the stream saying that the movie felt kind of empty, that it felt sort of unnecessary. And before I talk about that, I want to point out some of the good things that this movie did. Number one, at least early on in the film, when it was dealing with Jesse's PTSD and kind of his mental state and emotional state after escaping captivity. I thought that early on stuff was great. I also thought that the stuff Breaking Bad always does best, the tension, they ramped up the tension really well in a few particular moments. When the cops showed up at the house and Jesse had to hide and move around, a lot of tension. I think there were a couple other moments that aren't coming to mind right now where I know I was on the edge of my seat. Cinematography, as always, Breaking Bad kills it. The scene where Jesse is in Todd's house looking for the money, and it does the overhead shot, and you see the many Jessies around the house looking for the money. Great. And so I'd say for the first, so kind of the first half of the movie, I was really, really with it. Oh, and the other thing they did great was the comedy. The scene of Jesse in the vacuum cleaner repair shop arguing with the guy and he wouldn't let him through. Really well done. Thought it was pretty hilarious. But going back to what a lot of other people said, it was an enjoyable film, but I was kind of disappointed in what sort of felt like the lack of an emotional arc for Jesse. It really, but before the movie came out, I kept speculating Breaking Bad was about the moral struggle for Walter White between am I going to be a good man or an evil man? Do I have any morals? And I thought this movie, since Vince Gilligan always does the anti hero story of is this person going to go bad? Are they going to go good? That was the whole premise of Breaking Bad. That's the whole theme behind Better Call Saul. I thought this one would be different. I thought it would be about Jesse kind of trying to piece himself back together. And it felt like it really wasn't about anything. It was really more a retelling. It was just a telling of the events of Jesse trying to get away. And it was entertaining. Like I said, a few great moments of suspense, good comedy. It was, of course, just good on a visceral level to see Jesse and some of these other familiar characters again. But in terms of an emotional arc, which is what I was really hoping for, just didn't see a lot there. And you could see they attempted, they tried to get there, right? Even the Walter White appearance towards the end of the movie, they just inserted that scene to kind of introduce the ideas of potential, right? Jesse, are you thinking about college? Early on in the movie, you see Mike and Jesse talking about where does he want to go? What does he want to do with his life? But it wasn't very subtle and it wasn't very I never felt that what they were trying to communicate there. You know, it felt like Vince Gilligan wanted us to think about what's Jesse's future. And the way he got us to think about it was by awkwardly inserting a couple of flashbacks, which say to Jesse, where people literally say to Jesse, what are you going to do with your future? What are you going to do with your future? But I never really felt that with Jesse. I didn't really see it. And then just a couple of other random thoughts. A few other people have already pointed it out. Todd seems to have put on a little weight, which was hard not to notice, especially when he was standing above the cage and they cut to a side angle. Um, I won't dwell on that though. Otherwise, Todd was kind of a delight in this movie. You know, we talked in the live stream before watching the movie about how much of a psychopath Todd was, and wow, this really hit that point home. And the whole sequence between Jesse and Todd, again, tension, entertaining. I really felt the emotion when when Jesse took the gun out of the glove compartment and thought about using it on Todd. And then Todd said, you can hand that over, Jesse. You can hand that right over. And you see the tear roll down Jesse's cheek when he realizes he's got no choice. He's got to do it. It worked really well. And so I guess overall, there were particular sequences and scenes in the movie that worked well in the classic Breaking Bad way. But when you put it all together as a whole, I think the reason some of you in the chat are saying it felt empty is because there was that lack of emotional arc. I wondered going into the movie, would it feel like an extended episode of Breaking Bad or would it feel like a movie? And it kind of felt like something in between. So I see a lot of people saying disappointing, unnecessary. Yeah, I'd also say, going in, I tried to predict what's going to happen. And your mind, of course, goes to vacuum guy. And I thought to myself, there's no way that the premise of the movie is going to be as simple as Jesse needs to go get money so he can go to the vacuum repair guy and disappear. But that was literally the premise of the movie. And the 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 shootout at the end, the kind of Western style shootout, I don't know. I have to chew on it a little bit and see how I feel about it. It felt like it came out of nowhere. I mean, they set up that the guy who instigated it was kind of a maniac. And again, if I take that scene on its own, it was a great scene. It did the thing Breaking Bad always does well, the tension, and then it breaks with that kind of extreme violence. So I enjoyed it. I was entertained by it. I need to give it more thought. But my immediate reaction was, yeah, I felt a little like it was lacking something. Um, and I would have liked to have seen a more complete emotional arc for Jesse. And if you think about where he ended in this movie, he's driving away off to an unknown future, which is where he ended in Breaking Bad. So this kind of felt like he got away in Breaking Bad. And no, wait, rewind. He didn't get away yet. Okay, now he got away. And that's okay if that extra time afforded him some kind of emotional closure. And you got bits and pieces of it with him and his parents. And I'm starting to sound like a broken record, but that's kind of how I felt. There were particular scenes that worked well. The phone call between him and his parents worked well. But again, when I put it all together, it just feels like that I really need that. How much was there behind it? So I don't know. I want to scroll through the comments now and see what some of you all thought about it. Yeah, I don't know how I felt about it. I don't know, but that ending with Jane was sad. It was sad. I agree with you there. I think there'll be a part 2 or another series. I thought it was good, but slightly, and I mean slightly disappointing. That's from Greg. Was waiting to hear from you, Greg. Jessica Jones made a cameo. Does this confirm a Breaking Bad Marvel crossover? Greg, I'm glad you were able to get in at least one more zinger before the night was over. Yeah, several characters featured in this movie are dead. That's a little odd. Yeah, I don't think I have a whole lot more to say about it right now. Probably just need to think about it a bit more before I'll do a more complete video on it later in the week. What happened to Skinny Pete and the El Camino? Skinny Pete and Badger were a delight in this movie. They were hilarious. And it was pretty heartwarming to see Skinny Pete looking out for Jesse so much. And we got Jesse saying that B word we wanted to hear, snuck it in at the end there. All right, that probably wraps it up. I probably need to get to bed for a little bit. Any closing thoughts here in the comments? I think people are speechless. We just don't know what to think. Joaquin Phoenix drops 50 pounds for this role, and Todd can't even drop like 20 pounds for this movie. Oh, yeah. One last thing I'll say is that it's kind of like we all thought it was so crazy that they were able to film this movie in total secrecy. Nobody knew about it. And now I totally get why. Because it was a really small movie. You could tell it was only shot in a few different scenes. If you were to list it out, you could probably name the locations, right? Todd's house, a little bit at Jesse's house, a little bit at Badger and Skinny Pete's house, a couple other places. Very small movie. Not necessarily a bad thing, but just something I noticed. All right, guys. I think I'm going to sign off. But I'll just say I had a really good time tonight. Enjoyed the movie. Like I said, I got to chew on it a little bit more. But even outside the movie, this whole live stream experience was a blast for me. And that's because all you here, all of you nice, awesome, amazing people. So thanks for staying up with me. And I think with that, have a good night. Alon, why don't you come and just say good night to everybody? You don't have to be on camera.
Have a good night.
Good night. Goodbye. Take care, everyone.
Say my name.
It's Heisenberg. A little Heisenberg reference right there. So I'm pretty delirious at the moment. Good night, everybody. Take care.